NFL Week 2 is here. These are the best bets for this weekend. We're going to talk through all 16 games on the slate, give you our favorite spread, money line, total, you name it. If you are new, my name is Austin, and of course, I am joined by Logan. Last week, a very good week for us. Logan, you had a very good week, 9-3. Round of applause. I went 7-4. We'll take that. Let's try to duplicate that. Now, before we dive into the games, I do want to make a quick note. Number one, every game is time-stamped down below. So we are going to start with Thursday Night Football. There's a chance when you're watching this video, it's after Thursday. So feel free to jump forward. Maybe you want to go to your favorite team plan. Maybe you just want to start with the Sunday slate. Maybe you're even on Monday and you want to see our thoughts on Monday. You certainly can do that. All time-stamped down below. Number two, we are going to use DraftKings odds. We are recording this on Tuesday evening. So the odds are obviously going to change here and there as the week goes on. And speaking of DraftKings, they have a great offer right now. If you use the top link in description, you bet $5, you'll get $250 in bonus bets. Pretty cool. Free money. And they'll include NFL Plus, which includes RedZone for 1 month. So if you want to take advantage of those sign-up links, all those things are down below. Make sure you use that top link in the description. But like I said, Logan, week one, pretty good to us. But I do want to dive into one segment before we dive into the games. That would be our biggest takeaways from week one. And we only want one takeaway. We don't need to go and yap for 30 minutes. I'm going to start with mine because I saw an interesting stat and I think it kind of backed up what my eyes saw. And that was some terrible offense in week one. Now, you could talk with the passing yards. I'm just going to pull up a stat about passing touchdowns. Since 2018, we saw 35 passing touchdowns last weekend in week one. That is terrible. Last year, we saw 37, so pretty down. But you go back to the glory days of 2021, there were 61 in 2019. Man, I would love to go back to those glory days. Hopefully, this is not a sign of a lower scoring season because obviously we love points. But man, that would be my biggest takeaway, some not great offenses. But Logan, what was your biggest takeaway from week one before we dive into the games?
Yeah, the eyes definitely said the offenses weren't quite there week one, and we expect a little bit of rust. But I think my biggest takeaway was just the discrepancy between the teams that are going to be competitive this year and the teams that are not. I mean, some of those teams that I want to, potentially call out would be Panthers, Commanders, Giants, even I'll put Titans in there just by the way they collapsed. The NFL is a league of parity where each of these teams has a chance any given Sunday to look good. And man, some of these teams just look like they're going to be in double-digit spread territory pretty quickly. And that makes for a really interesting season. But hopefully maybe it's just week one and hopefully they can turn their seasons around.
Yeah, unfortunately, Logan, those teams don't have a bye. So we're going to have to talk about all four of those teams today. And we're going to dive into the first game, Thursday Night Football. Bills on the road in Miami. Miami's a slight favorite, -2.5, -135 on the money line, a 48.5 total. Obviously, Thursday Night Football. Logan, I'm going to let you lead things off. What are you looking at in this game?
Yeah, for my pick in this one, I would take the Bills +2.5 as my best bet in this one. I like what I saw from Buffalo. Now, defensively, I think you and I read that game to a T. We said Arizona offensively will give them problems, and I think Miami could give them some problems as well. But I like kind of this new offensive identity for the Bills, which is running the football. And coincidentally, that's what Miami looked really bad last week. Jacksonville ran it however they wanted. Tank Bigsby, ETN, however they wanted the yards on the ground, they got it. And I think that's trouble for a Dolphins defense that, Ramsey didn't look good at some of those plays. I think that game, Miami could have lost that game last week. Jacksonville just gave it to them on a silver platter. Buffalo kind of faced some adversity week one. They battled back in more of a shootout. I like in the short week, Buffalo and their run game to travel for that one.
Yeah, Logan, I was looking at this game. I could go back and forth because normally you don't see the Bills as underdogs. Dolphins, like you said, didn't look great. I do kind of like the over, though, once again here, 48.5. I think the Cardinals showed, hey, you can put up points on this Bills defense. I'm not too the Dolphins defense didn't look good. They really should have lost. If Travis Etienne doesn't fumble on the 1 yard line into the end zone and they get that Tyreek Hill 80-yard bomb or whatever it was, they lose that game. So I like points in this game. Give me the over 48.5. I do lean Bills, but I kind of like the over a little bit more in that Thursday night game. But let's move to the second game on the slate, Logan. Raiders taking on the Ravens. I believe this is the largest spread on the slate. We're now on Sunday's 1 o'clock slate. So if you are watching this after Thursday and you jumped here, welcome aboard. Let's talk about all these games. Ravens' biggest spread on the board, 9.5 point favorites, 41.5 total. I'm going to keep this one short and simple, Logan. I'm riding with the Ravens, -9.5. I know it's a big number, but Gardner Minshew on the road. They couldn't beat a Chargers team. They didn't look great in week one. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. The Ravens coming off a game they close. Isaiah Likely, by his toenails, basically, they could have easily tied that game and they would have gone for 2 as well. I like the Ravens. We've seen them last year against bad teams. They took care of business, and I would categorize the Raiders as not a great team. They have a good defense. I'll give them that. Give me the Ravens by at least 10 plus points. Are you going to ride with me? What are you doing in this game?
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you on Ravens minus 9.5. Then this one feels a little too easy. Sometimes in spreads, you don't want to overcomplicate it. I don't really find a pathway to get to Raiders, especially considering the Raiders got gashed all through the run. J.K. Dobbins had, I don't know, over 100 yards on the ground. So now you get a team. Like that? Yeah, and now you get a team with the running identity of the Ravens. That definitely want to run the ball. I don't see really how you can get to Raiders except for a hope and a prayer, but there's a reason why this is almost a double-digit spread. I love the Ravens as well.
Yeah, let's keep it moving to the next game. We have the Saints taking on the Cowboys. Now, we look at both these two teams. The Saints absolutely mollywopped your Panthers. We'll get into the Panthers, who are our next game on the slate. We'll talk about them in a second. Cowboys, I feel like, was one of the bigger surprises. They absolutely obliterated the Browns. They were underdogs, and they absolutely just destroyed them. Here we have the Cowboys laying almost a touchdown, minus 6.5, 45.5 point total. What are you riding with in this one? Because I kind of know where I'm going, but I'm curious what you are.
Yeah, I'd be on the Saints. I'd be on the Saints plus the points. I don't think week 1 was necessarily a fluke. Yes, they did beat up on an underperforming Panthers team. We know that. But I still think this Derek Carr-led offense, it has something in store for Dallas. I would slightly lean to the under as well. I see more of like a slugfest because each of these two teams had no problem at all going up and down the field last week. I think each of them are going to meet their match defensively. So I would my slight lean would be New Orleans, slight lean on the under. I really can't pick which one I like more, but it would probably be Saints for me. I just think that's a little bit too many points on that road team Saints there.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the first ones we disagree on because I actually like the Cowboys minus the points. I know it's a big line, but I don't trust Derek Carr. I mean, sure, he looked great. He looked great against the dang Panthers. The Panthers were terrible. Their secondary is terrible. They couldn't stop the run. Alvin Kamara was looking like 4 years ago, Alvin Kamara. I don't know if that's going to fly against the Cowboys defense. I don't trust Derek Carr at all. I think the Cowboys, we always see the same thing. They look great in the beginning of the season. And then as the middle of the season and the end of the season comes around, they start to fluster. I know it's a lot of points. I wish this wasn't. If the Cowboys didn't destroy the Browns, I feel like this is closer to like 4.5. But they're obviously giving you 2 extra points. Week 2 is always an overreaction type thing. I'm gonna ride with the Cowboys. They're not my favorite lean or pick that I've given out in this video, but I do like the Cowboys minus 6.5.
Hey, I will say,
change your pick? Join me.
I will say that the Saints defense is legit. I think that's what we're going to learn as the season goes on.
They are. Maybe. Bryce Young looked terrible.
Nah, but it was a combination of bad Bryce, but also really good Saints. And I mean, they made his life hell. Tell me that the Saints front couldn't make Dak's life hell. I think it could. They could think they obviously take away CeeDee Lamb, say, all right, Zeke, beat us. And I think, Zeke looked good at times last week, but yeah, it's Saints for me. I'm glad we disagree on one of these though.
Hey man, we'll see how that one goes. Speaking of Panthers, let's get this out of the way. Chargers on the road and Charlotte taking on the Panthers. You see the Chargers as 6.5 point favorites. Is that really correct? They're all the way up to 6.5. Yes, they are. Woof. Logan, hey, you're Panthers fandom. Speak for them. How you feeling?
Oh gosh, I'd be on Carolina plus 6.5. Yeah, it's yep. No, at this point, yes, barf, plug your nose, whatever. At this point, it's just simply a numbers play because the spread, I believe, maybe when it opened or what it was projected to be, was probably like Chargers. Right? What'd you say?
I think it was 3-4, something like that.
Yeah. So now it's arguably that you're getting value on Carolina plus the points. And yes, week 1's all about overreaction. Did Bryce Young look bad? Yes. Did that defense look bad? Yes. Are these things they can correct? Also, yes. There's a lot of talent on this Carolina team. They looked shell-shocked. They looked like they straight up weren't prepared for that game. The great thing about the NFL is you have a whole week to game plan for a Chargers team did they look all that impressive against the Raiders? I'd argue no. And that's really where I find value in Carolina in this one. If you're going to lay all the points with the road Chargers traveling West Coast to East Coast, good luck. Because, that's sort of a dart throw bet. And in NFL, I'm not in the mood to dart throw. I think Carolina's the play. It's a little bit nasty on paper, but it's an overreaction for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about week 2 is kind of the biggest overreaction week. The lines are reflected based on what the public thinks is going to happen. I'm not going to take the Chargers here. I'm actually going to take the under 38.5. I think the Panthers defense is better than, well, let's be honest, they can't be worse than what they showed in week 1. And like you said, how they got beat was really a lot of deep passes. And saw what Rashid Shaheed, he had a big one. JC Horn was getting torched. You saw what Derek Carr was mocking him, saying, I got 3 touchdowns on you. That's not a great look. But I do think that this is a lower scoring game. If we think about the identity of both these teams, Panthers, if they have their identity, it's running the football. I mean, that's what Dave Canales did a ton with the Bucs. Not very successful, but ran the football there. And the Chargers, we know with Harbaugh, they want to run the football too. This will come down to, can teams convert in the red zone? Cross my fingers with an under at 38.5 that they can't convert there. I know it's a low total, but I think it's pretty low for a reason. Give me the under 38.5. If I had to lean a spread, I would lean Panthers, but I'm not. It's week 2. I ain't losing money on the Panthers, baby. Not doing that. Catch me maybe week 10. Let's move to the next game. An interesting one. We have the 49ers on the road taking on the Vikings. Now, the 49ers obviously coming off Monday Night Football. They stomped on my Jets. That was painful to watch. And the Vikings absolutely stomped on the Giants. So battle of teams that stomped on New York teams. Right now, you have 49ers -6, 44.5 total. Logan, you think Sam Darnold, a little revenge game here? Can I interest you in the Vikings plus the points?
No, I would lay this is one of the rare spots I would lay all the points with the road team. Yeah, could you be a little bit sharp and take the Vikings plus the points at home? You could, but I just don't see that as a great bet in this one. I see it as San Fran. San Francisco's a team on a mission. I mean, they came out week 1. I think they shocked you. They shocked me. Just the way they came out week 1, there's no sort of Super Bowl loss hangover. They said, we're a team on a mission. We're here to make a statement. And with missing Christian McCaffrey, I thought, oh, well, maybe that's a loss that, they'll struggle out of the gate. No, their offense didn't really skip a beat. The only time their offense skipped a beat was in the red zone. They kicked a lot of field goals, but their defense still they are swarming. They're very powerful up front. I think they can make Sam Darnold uncomfortable, and I would actually feel very confident laying all the points with San Francisco in this one.
Yeah, I feel like you probably could get a 5.5 number, and I'll be joining you with the 49ers -6. I've watched Darnold before as a Jets fan. I'm not sold on him. I feel like having him in their locker room and learning his tendencies over the last year or two, they've kind of figured out his game. I don't think beating the Giants is really too big of a thing. I do want to know, I remember a few years ago, the 49ers went into Kirk Cousins and Vikings. Maybe that was last year, and I think that was a Monday night game, and I think they lost that game outright because I know everyone was on the 49ers then. This might be a little square. I'll ride with the 49ers -6. I'm just not sold on the Vikings, their defense. I rather trust the 49ers team that took care of business. I know it's coming off short rest, which I don't love to take. I do think they take care of business. Here's our first game that we're going to talk about some injuries. Now, there were some injuries. Logan referenced CMC in the last game. We don't know if he's going to play. The Dolphins have some running back concerns that we don't know if they're playing. But a big one here is Jordan Love's absence as the Packers play host in their home opener to the Indianapolis Colts. Jordan Love, from all signs from Logan and I, he should not be playing here. He's not going on IR, but supposedly he's going to be out 3, maybe 4 weeks. So incoming Malik Willis. Can I interest you in any points here, Logan, with the home Packers? I'll be honest. Let me hear what you're going with, because I can go back and forth on this one.
Yeah, mine's going to be pretty easy, and it's going to be the under 40.5. I just have to see it from Green Bay and their offense to be able to comfortably lay their points with them at home in the home underdog role. Now, we saw a few explosive plays come from the Colts last week. Again, the Anthony Richardson deep shots were miracles. I mean, they were prayers answered by Alec Pierce. He looked good throwing the ball deep, but I'd argue that's probably where it stops. I mean, if you put a nice little safety coverage on there, Green Bay, you'd probably take away those explosive plays that the Colts got last week, put up a lot of points on the Texans. But yeah, again, the Malik Willis-led offense, are they going to probably just say, let's hand the ball off, let's just play this game pretty conservative, ball control type game? I think that's what Green Bay does. I think this one is like a race to 17, maybe 20 for the winner of this game. I think the winner probably scores between 17 and 20, and the loser, I don't even think it's going to get to 41. So I like the under 40.5 as my best bet.
Yeah, I'm looking at this one. I think about 2 rushing defenses that kind of struggled. The Packers couldn't really stop Saquon on Friday night in Brazil, and then the Colts defense couldn't really stop Joe Mixon. He had a field day on them. I don't hate your under call. I'm going to roll with the Colts. I'll take the Colts minus the points. I'd love to get buy it down to 2.5. I think Malik Willis might be one of the worst QBs I've ever watched. He really sucks. And I don't know if the Colts, and I hear what you're saying about the Anthony Richardson, his deep passes. The only thing that I think might help him here is Green Bay obviously is a new coordinator, and they play a lot of single high safety, and they play a lot of man coverage. So Anthony Richardson is just going to be chucking it around there. I can't trust Malik Willis to cover those points. I think the Colts win this game. Maybe the -3 pushes, but I think they can win the game. Like you said, I don't think Packers can score. Anthony Richardson, just please take care of the ball. Don't throw like 3 interceptions. Give me the Colts minus the points. Oh, man, that's a nasty one. Next game, we had the Patriots hosting the Seahawks. Both two teams coming off wins. I don't think anyone expected the Patriots to win last week. They went into Cincinnati and won that game. With one of the lower totals on the board, 38.5. Seahawks -3.5. I'll keep it short and sweet, Logan. Give me the under, 38.5. Give it to me. Give it to me. Seahawks, I don't trust their offense. They looked terrible last week. And Geno Smith hasn't had great numbers against the Patriots in his career. Obviously, new head coach regime. But I liked what I saw from the Patriots offense, defense. Their offense didn't really look good, but they didn't have to because Joe Burrow couldn't do anything on that defense. I also just don't love what the Seahawks did on offense. Their passing game was terrible. Kenneth Walker had a decent day, but he faced the Broncos rush defense, which was terrible. I think this is a very low-scoring game, maybe like wouldn't be shocked if this one gets close to the total, like a 20-17 final. Could honestly be even lower scoring than that. I don't think either offense is too great. So give me the under 38.5. But Logan, you got a spread or total in this game you like?
I do have a spread. It would be the Patriots plus the points. So +3.5. I'll take the field goal and a half in this one. I think there's a legitimate shot that the Patriots win this game outright. Now, people are going to overreact. The week 1 takeaways was, the Bengals, they stink. They just couldn't score. They couldn't move the ball. How about we give the Patriots defense some credit, right? That Patriots defense looked really good. They were up in Burrow's grill the whole game. Their DBs were swarming. I think the Patriots defense is legit, and their offense is just simply they're not great, but they're good enough to get by with Brissett and Ramondre Stevenson. I really like New England. I kind of like what they're doing. I think they're the exact type of team that on these short spreads can win the game outright, and there's decent value on them to win the game outright. Again, though, in the NFL, I don't get greedy. If you're giving me the points, especially with the home underdog, I'll take them in this spot. But I do think the Patriots are extremely competitive in this game.
We kind of agreed. I think they can win that game, and I think if they're going to win, it's going to be a lower scoring game. Let's get this over with, Logan, for my team. New York Jets travel to Nashville to take on the Titans. 3.5 point favorites for my New York Jets, 40.5 total. I'm going to keep the short and sweet, Logan. Give me the New York Football Jets. We're going to absolutely massacre the Titans. That is, if the Jets would look decent, we would have smoked. Oh man, if the Jets lose this game, I don't know. Jets fans might be in shambles. Can't afford that. This is the rally back the fandom. They will destroy the Titans. -3.5 might be my mortal lock. But Logan, what do you like here?
Yeah, that's a homer pick if you ever seen it. But I see where you're coming from a football perspective, though, because on paper, Will Levis just gave that game away. I mean, that was terrible. I've never seen anything really like that from a starting quarterback. The Jets just didn't look good defensively, and that's why my best bet in this one would be the over 40.5. I'm not bold enough to take the Jets and lay all those points, but I do think the Titans are going to have success, especially on the ground game and a little bit through the air, because that Jets defense is supposed to be their calling card. They didn't look really good at all week 1. I think it's going to take them several weeks to really round into form. I think the Jets will have no problem putting up points. Aaron Rodgers sort of looked, I don't know, he looked timid in that Niners game.
I think he looked terrible, but yeah, you're right. It was a lot of checkdowns.
It was a lot of short throw checkdowns. I think he expands the field a little bit, and I think that total sitting just at 40.5. I think it's a little bit too low. Give me the over in that one.
Yeah, I'll be honest. We don't have player prop lines when we're recording this. I'm going to be looking hard at Breece Hall's attempts, and if they set Garrett Wilson back to 5.5 receptions, I'm back on it. I mean, the Jets, their defense was the reason there's a couple other reasons why they lost on Monday night, but the defense didn't look great coming off a short week. Will Levis probably going to keep chucking it down the field for fun. And then you have the Jets offense, which I don't think looked bad. They just couldn't get on the field. They lost the time of possession like 40 minutes to 20. The Jets ran 49 plays. Curious trivia question for you, Logan. What was the lowest amount of plays averaged last year? Any clue?
I don't know. Like, you're saying per game, plays per game?
Yeah, per game.
Like 42. I don't know.
No, not that low. It was actually 59, which
Uh,
goes to show how few plays the Jets ran. Only 49 plays, 10 lower than the lowest last season. Not the lowest, average number, not lowest number, but lowest average, which I actually think was the Titans. I believe they were either one or two with fewest. So give me the Jets in a big way. I think their offense goes well, and hey, they might score 40 on their own to cash that over for you, Logan. Next game, they ain't scoring 40. Let's be honest, they ain't scoring 40. Buccaneers going on the road to take on the Detroit Lions. The Lions laying a big number, -7. 51.5-point total. Logan, you got anything you like in this one?
yeah, I would like the Lions at 6.5. If I could get them at 6.5, that's kind of where I'd feel comfortable with them.
I
The
looked. I,
seven,
I actually looked for that number. 6.5 right now as we record. You can get me. It's really 7 on every buck though. That's kind of
yeah,
tough, but I agree with you.
I'm curious where that number ends up. I mean, we'll see closing line value where it ends, but I think this is one of those weird spreads that's like high for a reason. Because I was looking at this one, I was expecting maybe Detroit -4, 4.5. To see them at 7, I was like, wow. I mean, the Bucks looked good week 1, and so we look at overreactionary lines. It took the Lions overtime to beat the Rams at home. I just think this Lions team is one of those unfadable teams. And what do I mean by that? Well, in baseball, something you and I bet every day, there's these like there's these small market teams that, like, when you see them laying a big number, you're like, whoa, that really catches my attention. Like the Baltimore Orioles. The Lions are like the Orioles, where they're almost in the unfadable territory. They play so well as a unit. Obviously, I like what I'm seeing from the run game. Jahmyr Gibbs and Jordan Montgomery are definitely that's a great backfield there. I like what I'm seeing from the Lions defense too. In the Bucks, I still don't think their secondary is all that great. I think the Lions will be able to find points plenty in this one. You see the total at 51.5. That's crazy. And give me the Lions in this one, laying the big number though.
If you want a lock of a prop, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown to go over 100 yards. Yeah, he
Sure.
did nothing for me. He did nothing for me. On Sunday Night Football, he will have a massive day. I don't think the Bucks can honestly stop him. I kind of went back and forth. I like the Lions, but I agree with you. I wish I could get a 6.5 line. Don't love laying 7 for the push. I'll join you on them. I just feel like the Lions have that lucky horseshoe against the spread. I mean, they'd have no business covering against the Rams, covering overtime with a touchdown. Yeah, they had to win the coin flip to get that done. That's just that's the luck that they got going right now for them. Hopefully they can keep that going for them. I'll ride with you on the Lions -7. I'm not sold on the Bucks. They faced Jaden Daniels, who literally just dumped it off to his running backs or ran the football. So, I mean, good for one of our futures, but look, I just don't love the Bucks offense. Give me the Lions. I liked what they did sort of last week. Corners still need to play a little bit better. If that was their first game, a lot of those secondary together, like the Lions. I wish you could get a 6.5, but I'll take the 7. Here we go. Barf bucket of the week. Giants going on the road to take on the Washington Commanders, baby. The books know what they're doing here. They're pricing this one as a pick 'em because goddamn, they don't know what the hell is going to happen. Yeah, can't blame them. 43.5-point total. I'll keep this short and simple. Give me the over. I talked about this last week. I had the over in the Bucks game. I think a lot of people know the Commanders secondary is terrible. Their defense is terrible. Daniel Jones also terrible, but bad defense beats bad offense, in my opinion. I think you'll see the offense be able to figure it out. The Giants maybe just spam Malik Neighbors for all I care. I think they'll be able to put up some points here. And I don't hate Jaden Daniels. I know the Giants defense is better than what I believe they showed on Sunday against the Vikings, but Jaden Daniels, I feel like maybe he'll air it out a little bit more. And they were able to put up some garbage time points last week. 43.5. This game might be nasty, but I think there's some points to come. I like the over in that game. Logan, what do you like?
I think if I were to actually be on the total, I would be with you on the over. There's no way in hell I'm touching the spread. There's just no advantage there. Like you're taking a dart throw with the Commanders and Jaden Daniels, or you're taking a dart throw with Danny saying, Daniel Jones, what we saw week 1 wasn't what we normally see, but it actually was. Like, so that's the problem with trying to pick a side in this one. I think you're going to end up really regretting it if you pick a side. But again, as you mentioned, I just want to hammer home that Washington secondary. I mentioned it when I picked the Bucks last week. I said they are probably the worst unit in all of the NFL this year. They are one of those units that you just blindly fade. You're going to see all sorts of probably wide receiver props popping up every now and then against them this year, just because of how bad they are on their secondary. And I think Jaden Daniels can do enough to contribute to this total. I do agree. the over is where I would be, but definitely I think this is my least favorite game on the slate for good reason.
Luckily, they fit that one in the 1 p.m. when there's a bunch of other games going down.
Good.
And I believe we have one final game in the 1 p.m. window, and that would be the Browns going on the road to take on the Jaguars. Two teams that interesting week ones. You have the Jags, who you could say probably should have beaten the Dolphins. You have the Browns, who didn't have any chance against the Cowboys. Now going on the road. Jags, slight favorites, -3, -160 on the ML, 41.5 total. Logan, which team are you leaning here? Do you have a lean on the total?
Yeah, my team. This one's pretty easy for me. It's going to be a spread. I like the Jags -3. Yeah, I mean, just looking at this Browns team from a X's and O's standpoint, I don't see it, man. I really don't. Deshaun Watson, either you're a believer or you're not, and I'm not a believer in Deshaun Watson at all. Will he look better this week than he did last week? Maybe. But again, we want to talk about this Jags team. They had a potential victory in week 1. They just really crumbled down the stretch. And, with a good, experienced head coach in Jacksonville, I think they get it right. I think they correct, everything they made mistakes against Miami. And again, as you mentioned, that ETN fumble right on the 1. I mean, come on, that's a whole different game if he goes in there. I think we're seeing several wide receiving threats on this Jacksonville offense for Lawrence. You and I were kind of laughing at Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram was normally one of his more bigger targets, but he's not even really featured in this offense because they don't need it. They have so many different receiving weapons. I like the Jags. I think they run away with this one.
I do lean Jags with you, but I actually like the under more, 41.5. Last year, we saw the Browns be the best defense of all time at home. Terrible on the road. Maybe they're flip-flop this season. Maybe they're terrible at home and good on the road. They're going to Jacksonville. That unit is much better than what they showed. And I do like the Jacksonville season long. I like their team. I really like Brian Thomas Jr., although he did wreck me in game week 1, but I'll let it slide. And I think the Jags had a lot of success running the football. I don't know if that has that same success if it's a very stout defensive line. I think they're going to need Trevor Lawrence to make some plays, and I don't know if he does. I know if he can make them consistently. I do lean the Jags because I think Deshaun Watson might be he might need to hang it up. I'll be honest. The guy stinks. He can't do anything right. Their run game doesn't look good because Jerome Ford's not great. I don't like their offense at all. I think their defense can shut down the Jags. I think this is a lower scoring game, 2017, something like that. Not a lot of touchdowns to come around. I really like the under at 41.5. That'll be my favorite pick in that one. But finally, Logan, we're through the 1 p.m.s. We're on to the 4 o'clock slate. We only have 3 games to dive into. The first one will be the Rams taking on the Cardinals. The Cardinals slight favorites here, -1.5. -120 on the ML, 48.5 total. Only one big injury news here. Puka Nacua now on IR, missed majority of the Detroit Lions game. Now on IR, will miss the next 4 weeks. To me, I'm not too concerned about that. I like the over in this game, 48.5. We think we both took the over in week 1 against the Bills. And I think it showed, hey, the Cardinals offense can put up points. They got James Conner established in the ground game, and they got Kyler Murray meeping around doing whatever the hell he wants. And I love it. And they didn't even get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved. Maserati Marv used an APB out for him. I think he had like 4 yards, something like that. He was wide open for a touchdown, which they missed. But I think that's going to be a theme. The Cardinals will be able to put up points. Problem is, their defense might be a bottom 10 unit, and that might not be a might. They are a bottom 10 unit, not a very good defense. Cooper Kupp, I think they might double team him, so maybe look at Demarcus Robinson having a pretty good day or someone else stepping up. Tyler Johnson with a big catch. I like the over in this one. I'll keep it simple. 48.5. I think that was about the line that it was last week in Buffalo. I like points in that game. Logan, you like the over? Or you like a side here?
Yeah, you knew I'd be on the over too. I knew we were on the same wavelength in this one. This one feels right. Again, sometimes in totals, bet in the NFL, if it feels too good, so it's a little bit scary that Austin and I think this one, but I think the easier bet in this one, rather than to take a side, would just be the total. Arizona's offense looked really good. I mean, Kyler looked good this year, and that's what I kind of needed to see week 1. Is he sharp? Is he making his reads? Kyler looked good. And then again, this Rams offense, I have no question that Matthew Stafford can get him up and down the field and into the red zone. So give me the over. I like points as well.
Yeah, let's squad ride that over. Next game, we have the Bengals taking on the Chiefs. Chiefs obviously rest advantage here. Played on Thursday. Taking on the Bengals team that, I'll be honest, didn't look good in week 1. I'm going to go first in this one. I hate doing this. I like Cincy plus the points. I think if you're getting the 47.5 point total, that makes me think that the Cincy Bengals are putting up points. and they have to bounce back after a disaster of a week 1 against the Patriots. I wish you could give me like +7. I'd rather a full touchdown, but I'll take the +6. I think the Bengals offense looks a lot better. I think the Patriots defense, like Logan credited, is better than people think it will be. Gerard Mayo, obviously, he's been in the system for a while, been there for a long time. I think that defense is a lot better than people give it credit for. Chiefs, very good defense as well. I'm praying the Bengals offense and Joe Burrow shows up. He always seems to show up against the Chiefs. Let's hope he can do that here and got that one game out of his system. Give me the Bengals plus the points. Logan, where are you going?
I hate that back-to-back we're on the same side, but yeah, give me the Bengals.
Oh, God, no. Bengals are losing by 2 tuds now. Damn it.
Oh, man. This is the part where I dread. I dread being on the same picks as you, but you read my mind. You word for word. I like Cincy +6. This is another one of those late game line, to me, more of a trap line. Austin, we know. Where's the chase? Where's the chase spot in the afternoon games? Kansas City -6. All I got to do is win by a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes. It would be the essence of the Cincinnati Bengals to lose week 1 looking as bad as they did and then come and keep this game within a field goal. And that's, I think, exactly what they do. I think Cincinnati's a lot more competitive. It's really hard to be worse offensively than they were last week. They'll figure it out. I have no doubt they'll figure it out. They just didn't have any, continuity there, with Jamar Chase. What do you have, like an illness or something? The timing was off with him. T. Higgins not having that. I still think this Bengals team will be a lot better down the stretch. I think they're competitive. Kansas City, you have to remember, Kansas City they have the target on their back. They're getting everybody's best shot week in and week out, and I think they get Cincy's best shot in this one.
Hey man, let's go Bengals. Light flex. I was responding to a text. Ryan Mountcastle texted me mid shout. Hey, light flex on the kids out there. He showed me his fantasy team. Should we review his fantasy team on the vid? No, we'll do that maybe another time. Fine. Hey, mid show break. Ryan Mountcastle, fantasy football player, also part-time MLB player. But actually, here's his team, Logan. I'll throw it up on the screen for the people to look at. QB, we got Kyler Murray. This is a 12-team league. He sent me his text was most elite 12-team league of all time. He's got Kyler starting, Kyron Williams. He's got James Conner. He's got A.J. Brown and Rashee Rice as wide receiver. Evan Ingram, who did nothing last week, but we'll leave that past him. And then he has 2 flexes in this league. Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, and then I'll leave kickers and defense to the side. 12-team league. I mean, we're in an 8-team league, and my team is worse than that.
I feel you, man. It's kind of funny. I talked about Baltimore Orioles in this one. This is an NFL episode, and what do you know? It spawned with a Baltimore Oriole in this episode. Ryan, I like the team. I hopefully he can see the snip. For a 12-team league, that's a really deep team. I'll second exactly what you said. We're in an 8-team league together. My team sucks, straight up. I don't know where my points are coming from. I would kill to have this team.
You know what, Logan? I'll put both of our teams up on the screen above our faces. Yeah. You can tell us which one you like better. We're in an auction draft. Logan and I's teams are absolutely terrible, though.
Yeah, the problem with is if you guys have never been in an auction draft, if you just don't make the right moves on your guys, you're stuck with the mediocre bottom of the barrel guys. I think Austin and I, that's exactly what happened. We're just stuck with the mid-tier B team guys, and we just have to plug in and pray week to week.
Oh, it's disgusting. My wide receivers didn't even break 3 points last week. That's all right. Let's get back. Fantasy football pissed me off. I've thrown in the towel on the year. If you're like that in week 1, you've already just thrown in the towel on the season. Let us know in the comments because I feel you right there. Next game, and honestly, Steelers taking on the Broncos. This is the lowest total on the board, Logan, 36.5. Justin Fields firing things up against Bo Nix. Oh man, what's the play here, Logan? Tell us what we're playing. I'll let you go first because I don't know, man.
Yeah, last week I liked the Broncos in that spot. I thought they were just getting too many points.
I counted the Broncos as an L for us, but you could have gotten them at 6.5. So our records at the beginning, whatever. We'll just track whatever we put on the screen. But Broncos, I'll say they technically covered for us.
Yeah, they were competitive in that game. Was it pretty? Absolutely not. But my lean in this one would be the Steelers, and I would lay the field goal. When it all said and done, I mean, Justin Fields is not an elite passer. He's not. But what he is good at doing is running the ball. And this Steelers offense is actually kind of catered to that. I think with Najee Harris, it's more of going to be like, I mean, it's in the division, but they're going to look a little bit more like the Ravens with Lamar. If you got a dual threat quarterback, rather than ask him to make a bunch of plays down the field, just say, hey man, scramble, get us 5 yards here and there. We'll work with that. I think they do just enough to get this win, and I think they do cover the -2.5 that they're laying right now. Certainly not my most favorite game on the slate, but I was slight lean to Pittsburgh.
Man, I lean the under, but I agree with you. I like Pittsburgh too. I don't want to squad ride with you, but I will. If we're gonna both get hurt, we're getting both hurt by the Steelers. I know people asked for the comments for us to disagree more. What do you want us to disagree on this? What do you want from us here? I do like an under here, but I think at the end of the day, Steelers defense, 10 out of 10, much better than the Broncos. And Bo Nix, I don't think he threw a pass more than 5 yards down the field last week. That might not be terrible against the Steelers defense, or you have TJ Watt running right at you, right off the line of scrimmage. I think the Steelers can manufacture enough points, use that ground game, which we've talked about. The Broncos, not very good at stopping the run. I think that's the difference here. -2.5. I'll take the point. Lay it with the Steelers. Definitely, like Logan said, not our favorite lean of the day.
Yeah.
But we'll take them on Sunday. Cross our fingers. Late game. Oh, man, the last game in the 4 o'clock window. That's disgusting. Let's move to the night games. We got Sunday Night Football. The Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams going down to Houston to take on CJ Stroud and the Texans. Texans laying a decent number, -6.5. Over under 45.5. I actually haven't played in this one, Logan. It's our first ever team total. I'm taking the Texans team total under 27.5. I think the Texans can win this game, but I think there's anything we saw from week one. Number one, Will Levis sucks. But number two, the Bears defense is actually very good. And I think that's what's going to be their calling card this season. They're going to have to win a lot of games with their defense. And they basically did just that. Obviously, the Texans did a good job. In week one, they did go over 27.5 points. That was against the Colts, team that, has an okay defense, but also had Anthony Richardson, who literally it was either a 3 and out or we're scoring a touchdown from one play. So I think that they ran so many plays. I mean, how many carries did Joe Mixon have? Like 33 or something stupid like that. They had the ball in their hands a lot more. I think the Bears offense will be a little bit better. I don't know if they're going to be, stretching the field, going deep shots, but I think they'll be able to have some long drives that chew the clock a little bit. So I like the Texans team total under 27.5. You like Texans on the spread? Bears, what do you like in this game, Logan?
Yeah, give me the Bears with the points. I'll take them +6.5. I think there's a legit shot that they keep this one within a field goal. So again, if you find value and you think this is a field goal type game, then you take the 6.5. Because there could be a couple field goals in there, and maybe Texans win by 6. Maybe this is one of those sharp primetime spots for Vegas. I really do think though the Bears keep this one close. Now, I think more of what I saw from Houston's defense last week was they were exposed. I think the film's out on how you want to be able to attack this defense. Is Caleb Williams, he had the week one rookie jitters, the kind of shock of seeing how fast the pro game is. Now playing in this spot, I think obviously it's going to be a step up from him, playing in Sunday Night Football, but still, he's got the receiving weapons. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, these are good receiving weapons. They didn't hardly even use Kmet last week. I think Kmet and Gerald Everett, they've got 2 very good receiving tight ends. I think they can be a pain in Houston's butt in this one. And I think the Bears defense is the reason why they won that game. Let's not forget, Will Levis, yes, made some bonehead plays, but that Bears defense held them in that game. That's a game that if their defense wasn't that good, they lose that game. So give me the Bears plus the points in that one.
Yeah, I think both of our plays go hand in hand. We need a good defensive showing from the Bears. I don't see that one being a huge shootout. If it is, then I lose my pick on a shootout. Well, at least we got a good Sunday Night Football game to close the week. And then finally, the final game on the slate, Monday Night Football. The Atlanta Falcons going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles -6.5, 46.5 point total. Logan, you're in Philly, so I'm going to let you lead things off. What you like in this Monday Night Football game?
Now, if I bet against the Eagles with all my friends, coworkers, and whatnot here in Philly, they're wanting my head on a stick. So, you know what? But I actually would ride with the Birds in this one. Give me Philly -6.5. I don't know where this one closes at, because Austin, we're recording this one earlier in the week. I'd be interested to see. I think this one could go up to 7.5. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'm really, this Eagles team looks like another team on a mission. Looks like a regular season juggernaut. They didn't miss a beat at all offensively against the Packers. Wow. Saquon Barkley looks like the extra juice that they needed in that offense. I think they go up and down the field and make Kirk Cousins' life hell. I'm sure you're thinking what I'm thinking. I think the last time Kirk was in the link, he was seeing ghosts. think the Eagles defense swarms in this one. I think the Eagles win this one by a touchdown or more.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually go Google. How did Kirk Cousins do last time he was in there? So he's faced them twice. Actually, he had a gem. He had a gem last year, September 14th. Be about a year removed. That's where he went out there and threw for 364 and 4 tuds. They'd lose by 6 though. Now, however, the year before that, 3
that was the playoff
interceptions.
game, right? That was the playoff game, right?
I'm not looking at playoffs. I'm just looking at regular season. But maybe I don't remember. I want to take the over here, but what I saw from that Falcons offense was terrible. Kirk Cousins wasn't like he's putting. It felt like he was still nervous with his injury, and sure, maybe a week removed from it. I mean, I didn't see anything from the Eagles defense. I was like, oh, scary unit here. Still have some question marks on the back end for him. Can the Falcons put up enough points here? Fine. Give me the over 46.5. It's not my favorite pick ever. And maybe when I do our Monday Night Football video, maybe things have changed because I'll record that in legit 4 days. But I don't think Captain Kirk can look any worse than he did last week. I really think they just get the ball to their playmakers. Bijan Robinson, Drake London should have a much better game. And I think they'll be able to move the ball against this Eagles defense, which I'm not too high on. And I think the Eagles shouldn't have a ton of problems moving it on the Falcons defense. You talked about the Eagles offense looked insane. Saquon looked great. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts. Also, what do we like with the Eagles? They're an aggressive team. So if it's 4th and 1 in the red zone, they're going to go for it. And you obviously want more touchdowns than field goals. So I like that for an over 46.5. That's my lean for that one. I do like the Eagles too, -6.5, but we'll see how it goes. But hey, Logan, long video, but hopefully people enjoyed. That was our week 2 best bets video. Like I said at the top of the show, we will have some more best bet videos that'll include some player props, touchdown plays, parlays, things like that. Those will be posted later on in the week. And obviously, we'll have some primetime games for those as well. And when those videos are live, I'll link them on the screen. Logan, thanks for joining us. It was a wonderful time. And we'll see you guys back next Wednesday for week 3's edition of Best Bets. And we'll recap how our picks did here. We'll see you guys then. Peace.